Sir, I will play the devil's advocate. Let me play the devil's advocate on behalf of the bank. Why you play the advocate for the workers? Why should I pay workers more when the Central Bank of Nigeria has put recapitalization of banks to 500 billion naira, and I, as Heritage Bank, cannot afford to pay so many workers and decide to pay 90,000 naira across board for those that I might not need their services so much? Which labor union can be able to force me, that is the payer, to pay more than required when Central Bank has enforced that I must pay 500 billion naira if I have to be in business?
Okay, this comes to my limited knowledge of business law. I think there are two types of employment law. One of it is employment under the statutory law. The other is employment under common law. So the statutory law, it is governed by the Constitution, and the common law is governed by the terms of the offer of contract. So to speak in the layman language, you say that of civil service and that of private sector employment.
Exactly.
So now we are speaking of the private sector employment.
Exactly.
Now, the details are not given to us as to how all these happen, so I cannot speak in that broad spectrum.
I don't understand.
But I can narrow it to say, well, if those staffs were laid off, our Employment Act, Section 11 of the Nigerian Constitution says that any of the party in any contract can actually terminate the contract provided a prior notice was given. Now the question is...
Provided a prior notice was given.
Yes, provided a prior notice was given.
Now, in this case, NUBIFIE, being the union for the employees of banks, insurance companies, and so forth, and financial institutions, have decided to lay off their contracts with the bodies they have contracts with, not directly with the staff. That they have contracts with certain organizations that provide staffing for them. And if they decide that we don't want this staff anymore, we don't want your services anymore because we can't meet up with capitalization, using that as an example. Because what we are trying to bring out here is that today is Heritage Bank. Today it might be Jai's Bank. Tomorrow it might be another bank.
Yeah, it will set a dangerous precedent.
We are trying, yes.
Okay, I'll get back to this, your point, but first of all, I must be able to explain to the public what contract law is. And with that explanation, it will help the viewers to understand
Please do.
what it is. For the workers that were laid off, first of all, we don't know if they are 15 years and above. For workers who have worked for 3 months, it's a day notice. For workers who have worked for about 2 years and above, it's about 2 weeks notice. For any person who have worked for 5 years and above, it's a month notice. So, well, sometimes to mitigate the effect, you can actually you can pay money or compensation in lieu of notice. But if that is not done, that's why I say I can't speak to the broader spectrum, but because we don't know the details of the matter.
Understand.
But I will speak on general principles. So, if money or compensation is not paid in lieu of notice, then we want to know if notice was given at least for a month to the staff. Now, if it is a contract staff situation whereby, like going back to your question, where the bank will contract consultants to employ staff for them, train them and all that to work, and now they cannot meet up. That's, according to the law, it is no excuse to lay off staff because you don't have place for them.
Oh, Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so if
informative.
yes, if you must do that, you must first give them at least a month in lieu of notice. Yeah, compensation should be paid, and all that. So, but I cannot go so much in details of the legality. I'm not a lawyer, but
Yeah.
I can speak on general principles. So I think that is it.
Oh, so in this case, what we are trying to say is that if this same issues concerning NUBIFIE, because NUBIFIE is a labor
Union.
It's a labor union registered also with the Nigerian Labor Congress. If Heritage Bank is having this kind of issues and they decide that we want to take this step of actions, are there no other banks that would try to replicate what they are doing right now?
Well, first of all, I will say the labor union in charge of that matter, what do you call it? NUBIFIE.
NUBIFIE, yes.
Okay, well, first of all, the staffs who are affected can take the litigation process.
Oh, good.
And let the courts decide on the matter. What the Supreme Court decides on that matter will set a precedent to be followed, in the future. But for now, I think notice was given, and money in lieu of notice is also offered, about 90,000, I think, in the Vanguard News.
Yes.
So, with that information, this limited information, I can say they have followed the laid-down principle. But if that is not enough or sufficient, these are things that should be argued in court.
Good.
This is within the purview of the legal system to adjudicate.
Oh, good. And viewers, you've heard from our